when me and this guy get together, it's almost like, all right, let's really dig deep. Let's get to the bottom of all this. It's our good pal Nathan Bond from the Bay Area Examiner. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. It's funny when things like this come out, I'm like, all right, I'm either gonna text Nate and talk to Nate about this, or we're gonna get him on the show. And let's just jump right into it, man. Obviously, the hot topic of conversation, and we'll get into the game here in a little bit against Navy and what went wrong there. But obviously, the hot topic of conversation is Alex Golesh and the future of him at USF and this whole story about Oklahoma State. And you saw the same thing that I did because I'm looking at this kid from Oklahoma State and saying, oh, there was an interview and blah, blah, blah. And then he gets asked about it if he interviewed. And I love the way you put it, too. Question was phrased in a way to give Alex Golesh plausible deniability. Leaving it at just you allowed him to freely say he hasn't, when it's more likely his agent or team around him has. The question posed could have been, have you or any of your people been in contact with Oklahoma State? And that's the way to kind of go around it, and
Right.
say, well, I didn't interview, because he's not lying. He's not lying there. But what's your take on this entire thing? Do you think he interviewed, or do you think this is one of those things where probably one of his representations or one of his representatives either made a call or received a call?
Yeah. So, I went through that podcast that that particular reporter put out on October 24th. And a couple days ago, he quote retweeted, is like, as I reported October 24th, Alex Golesh interviewed. And I listened to that podcast. And then I had other people listen to that same podcast. Nowhere in that podcast does it say explicitly that he said that Alex Golesh interviewed. So I'm trying to figure out where the disconnect is. I'm still under the assumption, and this is just kind of speculation. I am sure there have been conversations, which is why I kind of was just a stickler on asking, "Have you interviewed?"
Mhm.
That's not how any of this works.
Right.
You've been around long enough. That's not how any of it works.
Mhm.
You don't get offered until you know you're going to take the job. You'll have it doesn't make sense. The timeline doesn't make sense to interview before the Memphis game or leading up to the Memphis game, because the next week is a bye week. That's when you would have done the interview.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out how all of this works. I do believe that there's probably been contact. He was a GA for Gundy years ago, so like the connections there. It, do I think he interviewed? No. Do I think there was contact? 100%. His agent is working the phone lines, just like USF on their side are, they're working the agent as well, trying to figure out where they can go, get an extension if they can reach the dollar amount. And you can't begrudge Alex Golesh for taking a job where, you know, I love where I work. If another company's like, hey, I'm gonna double, maybe even triple your pay to do the exact same thing, bro, I'm out.
Yeah, no
First
doubt.
thing smoking.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing where and I understand people want to be, oh, the loyalty and look at what this program could be and look at the football stadium that's coming up. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. What if he has a bad year and they fire him? Then he's not going to be a part of that anyways. Like your loyalty first and foremost is to you and your family. Right. I mean, you got
Right.
to make sure, I mean, you have an opportunity to play for, go coach at one of these schools and you can build generational wealth. Right. I mean, it's different. USF is not there yet. It's on the way, but we don't know when the way is. Right. So that's why, whether it's Oklahoma State, people are, oh, why would you want to go there? It's like, it's not about that, man. Like you just said, double your, triple your pay. It doesn't mean that he's going to be there forever. Like he could go there, get a buyout like the rest of these guys and be living lavishly as a fired college football coach, which is probably the best job in America right now.
I
And
mean,
who's to
shoot.
say that he's not going to get another job elsewhere if he can parlay some success in Stillwater and go to back to a team in the SEC and go to LSU or go to Florida one day or Tennessee? We don't know that.
Yeah, James Franklin took Penn State to the playoff last year and got fired midway through the season.
Right.
That's how quick these things can turn. College football now has become a lot more like soccer, club soccer,
Mm-hmm.
where you could, for example, I'm a big Dairy City guy. So that's the Irish Premier League for everybody else who don't know. They had a great coach. They lost like the Europa Conference playoff rounds,
Mhm.
gone next year. Like it's an ever rotating
Yeah,
thing. That's kind of where college football's heading. Hockey kind of has that too. Um, I don't love it. I don't love the quick trigger, but this is how it is. You can rebuild a roster in 1 year, so you're not getting the 3 years you typically get anymore. So kind of a little bit of a give and take there.
so if it's not Oklahoma State, what other jobs do you think would be interesting?
I mean, Arkansas's got money. His
Yeah.
wife's from Arkansas.
Mhm.
Like, that makes a lot of sense. If Florida strikes out on Lane Kiffin, that makes sense. Um, eh, this is all to say he could also just stay.
Yeah.
You know, I love what he's done with the for the program where he's gotten them to, but in games that kind of matter against in conference opponents, it's not a great record. I
Right.
believe he's 1-7 in conference against teams with winning records. So is there is that issue, and that we saw it on Saturday. We saw it at Memphis. Like there's still some kinks to be worked out in his process and being elite and all of those things.
Yeah, because using his words, right? I mean, it's all about process. It's all about being elite in your preparation, and it's great. But when I truly believe that your true greatness gets tested when you're going against other good and great teams. And right now, I mean, it's been fantastic to be able to watch them beat Boise State and beat Florida up there in Gainesville. But two opportunities to win games in conference here, especially on the road, and they come up short both times. And Nate, I don't know about you, but it's not just that they lost; it's how they lost. Whimpering down the stretch against Memphis, and then Navy. For all the talk about being ready in the preparation, they just didn't start on time. The defense wasn't ready. The defense looked like they had no idea that's the kind of offense they were going to run. And for Todd Orlando, who I was getting much maligned the last couple of years, I think people were kind of coming around on him a little bit this year. But I mean, you look at it, Nate, that game and that game plan against Navy and the offense, like they were just so far behind. I give Byram a lot of credit for trying to get them back into it. I don't know if the score was really indicative of how close this game was. What do you make of those two games, and what can they do to improve that elite process? Because it's great to be, in the graphic for the college football playoff in
Right.
November, but that's not the point.
Yeah, this is historically speaking, this is kind of what USF has done. So it's not just an Alex Golesh thing. It's like an institutional wide, just coming up shortness. 2007, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2025.
Mhm.
They've historically just lost the wrong game every season when they've been in contention. 2017, the fourth and 24 versus Houston, the
Mhm.
one I-4 game down the year. 2016, you have a great team, you just get steamrolled by Temple. It's it'd be one thing if it was just one coach, but it seems it's
Right.
happened every single time. Once coincidence, twice, whatever. It, I feel bad because this is probably maybe the most talented team they've had in close to a
Mhm.
decade, and it's kind of going to be for naught. You're more than likely going to end up 9-3, which is great. You have a chance for a 10-win season, but the expectations were flipped when you won those first two games,
Right.
and then when you're putting up, 60 points on North Texas on a Friday night in front of the national market, and
Yeah.
it was like their biggest game on campus and maybe ever. It gets ratcheted up. You blow a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter at Memphis. You do nothing in that fourth quarter. Uh, you have to make Navy earn it every single play, and you just allow the gas yards. I don't understand how Eli Heidenreich was open so often, so many times. He is the best wide receiver in Navy history, and he was just running around like he was Calvin Johnson out there. It made no sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, Todd Orlando and that defense picked the worst time to have their worst performance of the season.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And a lot of people are wondering about kind of the question of, was Alex Golesh not focused because he was focused on other things? Do you put any kind of credence to that his focus and his attention were elsewhere? because of the putrid performances, or do you think this is just one of those things where it was just a bad time to be a bad team?
I, I mean, you've been working somewhere and you've been able to concentrate on your job, but you've also taken interviews other places, and it doesn't like one doesn't
Right.
affect the other. I don't think that's the reason why it happened. I think it's an easy crutch. Like,
Hmm.
he wasn't concentrating. Right, we all interview while we still have a current job. Like that's
Hmm.
just the name of the game. That's how it happens. Um, Maybe only in like the NFL, like the actual pro leagues, does it happen in the off season. College is just a different animal, and we think we're seeing it this season. It's going to be completely different. A lot of these institutions, a lot of the athletic directors want to have somebody in place a week, 2 weeks before National Signing Day, which I believe is December 3rd this
Hmm.
season. So it's pretty quick. It's just the way the schedule falls out. You're going to see this kind of thing continue to happen going forward. I think it's just going to be the new normal.
So we've spoken about the history of this program and coming up short in a lot of these big games where it could lead to a conference championship appearance. But one thing that really took me back on Sunday or even late Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday was kind of the overall vitriol of the USF fan base towards Alex Golesh himself. And you and I both know a lot of times on social media, it is the vocal minority and they are kind of peppered in and infiltrated with negativity. I understand that, but I think sometimes it's harder to parse through that kind of stuff, and then sometimes it's abundant and it's a lot. And I was taken back a little bit that there was such a negativity towards Alex Golesh. What kind of sense do you get as far as the fan base's overall attitude towards him because of his inability to win those big games, because of the possibility he could go somewhere? Is it one of those things where it is the vocal minority just being loud at this time of year, or is there still a little bit of a distrust because of maybe some of the deals with Byron last year about the lack of transparency there? And he can be, he's a guy that works hard, but I don't know if he's not Amir, right? That's what somebody put I saw last night, where Amir Abdur-Rahim looked like he would give you a hug every time, and he's Golish is a little bit more abrasive and a little bit more stoic. So, what's your kind of take on his relationship with the fan base?
I'm shocked, but also like not shocked because this is how it's been.
Right.
I got to be careful with my words here, otherwise I'm just gonna create like a new. I think at the last time, maybe a couple times before, I called them keyboard warriors and Twitter thugs, and it it spiraled for them. But that I mean that's kind of what it is. You talk to anybody actually in real life, they're upset with what happened, but they think he's a good coach, and I think
Right.
that's kind of where we're at. He's been a great recruiter. He's nobody. I mean, you and I both know nobody really gave him a shot against Boise and
Mhm.
Florida, not to win both.
Right.
Dream on.
Mhm.
So like he's done the things that need to happen. He has a solid roster. I think this is the I think the disconnect is this is the first I think probably the first year where like they've have all the pieces in place. The money is like truly there. Year one,
Mhm.
year two, they were kind of piecemealing it a little bit. Year three, you see it. You see along the defensive line, the defensive backfield, being able to retain Byron Brown for another year. Like the money's there, and so that's where the frustrating part is. And I get it. Like I'm wearing a USF polo today at
Mhm.
work. Today's the first day I've worn a USF clothing like it's since Saturday. Like if
Yeah.
I cover the team, but I've been going to games since I was 10. Like it still
Yeah.
affects me. I was really sad on Saturday.
Yeah.
But you got to move on. You want to fire a coach because he lost at Navy. Okay, who you replace him with? You're just restarting the process. Congrats, you're back to square one 3 years ago. Like we could need to be a little bit more realistic. Uh, I think the online folks need to go touch grass a little bit.
Yeah. I'll call them the Twitter tough guys, the keyboard warriors living in their parents' basement. I'll call them out. Um, what do you think the percentage is that Golish is back next season?
50-50. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just a lot of openings. and
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
the
of
thing, right? That's the
a
thing
lot
is
of
that a
openings
lot of
create
big
more
openings.
openings. So
Yes.
like, and we don't know if there's going to be a late cycle opening that's just going to change everything.
Mhm.
So I, I would, expect the worst, hope for the best sort of scenario for Bulls fans. Expect that he's leaving. If he does come back, awesome. I think the best case scenario is he stays and we're able to retain Byram because for that last season, I mean, it's clear that there's a pretty good connection there. But I would expect if Golish leaves, Byram leaves, maybe with him or to another institution. I think that they've got a pretty good connection. They kind of know what they're doing. Um, and I think you see that with Vanderbilt, like Diego Pavia, that's just kind of flipped the
Mhm.
program on its head following a coach. You can kind of do that and kind of uh, you see in college football, if you don't have a good quarterback, you're kind of screwed. No matter
Yeah.
what other pieces you have in place, you need a good quarterback. And Byron's one of the best in college football.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it too. Byram, if I said this last week, if they win that game and then they win the conference championship game and Byram takes his team to the college football playoff, he's number one in my opinion all time at USF. Like he jumps everybody because he
Yep.
was able to take them the heights that they've never seen before. And yeah, it's not number two in the country, but that was obviously not at the end of the season because that's where it really matters and on where you're at. But as far as Byron Brown overall, like where do you think he sees where he's at? Because I know they put something out yesterday as far as like a Heisman candidacy kind of thing, which I was like, maybe you're a week late. You probably should have done that before the Navy game, right? But I'm very curious because you look at some of the numbers, and 2 years ago, you're talking about numbers that only he and Jaden Daniels put up. And then this year, you're looking at what he's able to do. He's going to throw for a crap ton of touchdowns and yards and rush for over 1,000 yards. Like it's just an incredible season for him. But where do you think he sees himself? Do you think he gets to a point where if Golesh stays, all right, I can stay here? Or do you think he feels like he has to go somewhere else to get him ready to play football in the NFL? Like, because we know that he works hard and we hear all the great things from Alex Golesh, but being around the guy and watching him improve, where do you think Byram sees himself as far as like his standing with USF and putting himself in the best position so that he can play at the next level?
I mean, first things first, he's going to have to fix the throwing motion if he wants to play quarterback at the next level.
Right.
Taysom Hill 2.0, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's big. He runs fast. He's caught a touchdown before, so
Mm-hmm.
he may have decent hands. Got to cut down the turnovers, the fumbles, the interceptions, the things that kind of have continued through his play. Uh, I don't see why he wouldn't be a P4 quarterback, unless he just loves Tampa, loves USF, loves Golesh if he stays. Like if he just kind of loves like, hey, this is my last year. I don't want to have to learn a new system.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you stars are found everywhere these days.
Right.
So it's not like you need to go to P4, and he's proven himself against tougher competition. So it's not like he has to do that. Uh, Go get paid, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where it's at. Like, he's probably in line for like a couple $1 million next year. So
Right.
like, go get paid, dude.
Yeah. Speaking of getting paid, we just saw yesterday. I don't know if this was true, but Rob Higgins and his fee over 800 bills, which I love Rob. So I mean, hell, good for you, buddy. Go get paid, right? Glad. But what is your take on now that we have Rob Higgins? Now we have Derek Brooks, right? Now we have a new chief business officer in there. I feel like everything's trending in the right direction. What do you think is going to? We know the long term impact, Nate, of having those guys around. But what do you think about the short term impact? How do you think it's going to affect the football program and everything else?
I think it's just going to be uh, a carryover of alignment, right? Even with they've kind of tabled the board of governors has tabled like the presidential search, but you only present Moaz if you think he's a slam dunk. And
Mhm.
the way that Will Weatherford and Mike Griffin have kind of navigated all of this, like they've got that taken care of. You have the CEO taken care of. You're going to be running this like a business, so you're getting these business people in place while maintaining the athletic structure. They're going to be good at what they do. I'm not going to see a drop off. I think you're going to see a lot more alignment. I think you'll see more dollars flowing into the department, either from the university or sponsors. Rob Higgins done a great job raising money for the Tampa Bay Sports Commission. I don't think that's going to change. We've talked about it on our podcast with him, basically making sure that they see the investment in USF and creating more ties with Team Tampa Bay. So I think you'll see more of that. More, you see the Lightning and the Bucks behind you, the jerseys. I think you'll see more of that going forward with the connections that they already have in place.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you a little bit about basketball. Surprised at all about Jose moving on to Dallas? What do you think about Michelle Woods-Baxter taking over? She's been with him for so long, gotten to know Coach Michelle for a while. She's just salt of the earth type of people. And then the men's basketball team, man, Coach Brian Hodgson, he said we're going to get up and down. Those guys can score the basket or score the ball, can't they? What's your take on basketball early on?
So not surprised Jose left. I think prior to actually taking the wings job, he had interviewed multiple times at multiple places. Miami seemed like a spot last year for him, didn't work out. Been here 25 years. Like that's what else can you do? I think there's a ceiling for women's basketball in the American. You kind of saw it that first week of games where some of these women's basketball teams in the American were losing to like D2, like some pretty bad schools, and that's why USF's playing Duke. That's why you have to schedule these insane out of conference games. South Carolina, UConn, like you have to do that because the American itself it's such a soft league for women's basketball. I think he's going to enjoy not having to recruit. I think he's going to miss the
travel
3 trips to Europe. That's I think that's what he'll miss the most. But not having to recruit 17, 18-year-olds and having to continue to recruit, and he gets a coach page like bro, sign me up.
Yeah, no doubt. And the men?
For men, the game they lost, they scored 95 points and they shot like 12% from 3.
Yeah,
all right.
That's never gonna happen. Yeah.
Sounds good. Sign me up. They're gonna be fun. This Oklahoma State game is gonna be a big test for them. So I'm excited. I think they're going in the right direction. I think Golesh and him are almost the same person.
Yeah.
Like they are, in the nicest way possible, they are psychopaths and they want to win and they will do it their way.
Right.
And you better get on board or you're gonna be out real quick.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Real quick before I let you go, is it too early to put your Christmas lights up?
No.
Never too early.
I mean, come on. We're less than 30 days away? 30 days-ish away? Come on.
Gotta get it going. My sister put up her Christmas tree the past couple of days. I'm like, it's not even Thanksgiving yet. She goes, the girls wanted to put them up. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm good with November 1st.
Oh, he's a November 1st guy.
I was I think 100.7 is the Christmas station in Tampa.
Oh yeah.
They finally flipped over to Christmas music. I was expecting it November 1st too. So like come on.
Nate Bond, our guy from the Bay Area Examiner, always doing great stuff. Thank you so much for your time, brother. I'll make sure to retweet and repost everything that you guys do over there. Make sure you follow him on all social media platforms as well. Nate, you're the best. I appreciate your time, brother. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, buddy.